Adrian Peterson's been ranked higher when he had that monster season, Skip. He was
2012.
He was the #1 ranked player of the top 100. Yes, he's coming off a historic season, Skip. He was 3rd in rushing. He was 2nd in catches. For a running back, he had the 3rd most yards from scrimmage. Only Chris Johnson and Marshall Faulk, when Marshall had that historic season, Chris Johnson went over 2,500, Marshall Faulk was over 2,400, and this kid was over 24. So he's done things that very few people have ever done in the NFL. So when you look at it up, Skip, Derrick Henry averaged 5.1 yards per carry. Christian McCaffrey averaged 4.8 yards a carry. Skip, when you look at him, you don't think a guy, when you catch that many passes, it's not like you catch the ball and you go in the end zone and you just run out of bounds and nobody tackle you. People are tackling you. People are landing on you. And then you throw in another 200 to 300 carries. So that's 400 opportunities that someone has had an opportunity to put shoulder pads, helmets on you, and then you land on the ground. So, Skip, for him to be as durable as he is and still possess the breakaway speed, still be able to catch as many passes, there's no question he should have been ranked in the top 10. I think what it is, Skip, is that we don't normally see guys like Christian McCaffrey, a white running back. The last one that we've seen that had this kind of, well, he didn't have the success he had, but he was on the cover of Madden, was Peyton Hillis. Skip, remember he had that monster season in Cleveland, and then he just like disappeared. And so this is not normal. Back in the 70s, you know, you had Larry Zonkin, you had Big John Riggins. Maybe John Riggins, Skip, maybe was the last white running back that we saw that could take over and dominate ball games. And we remember what he did in the Super Bowl, Skip. So what Christian McCaffrey is doing is that because we don't normally see white guys at the running back position, and when they do, they come in, you know, Rex Burkhead, or they come in and they're specialists. This kid is an every down back. And maybe I'm a little biased. I've known the kid since he's been there, played with his dad, know his mom.
Because his dad was...
Because his dad was a teammate of mine. And I still believe his dad could outrun him. I believe his dad in his prime was faster than Christian McCaffrey. I still believe that.
That is fast.
He was faster. He stayed behind people because they kept underestimating. But, Skip, I do believe he deserved to be in the spot that he was in. And I believe he would have been even higher if he could have got his team into the playoff. Because remember, Adrian Peterson got that team into the playoff. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, Green Bay won the division because they had to go on the road and play Green Bay in Green Bay. But I believe he'd have been higher if he could have got this team into the playoffs. But I have no problem whatsoever with him being in the top 10 and him being number 6.
So I hear everything you just said, and yet I must admit I still can't buy all the way into Christian McCaffrey to the point where I say he's the best running back in football. You've loved Saquon from the start, and now you've reversed field.
But here's the thing that I love about him is that he's durable. Saquon has missed time. You see, and I like Zeke, but Zeke doesn't give me the explosiveness and the catching ability. I like Saquon. Saquon gives me home run. Saquon gives me catching ability, but he doesn't have the durability. This kid has it all. And if you remember last night, what did Zeke say? What's the best part of his game? He has no weakness. He picks up the blitz because that's huge. Because you can't play every down if you can't step up there and take up.
And they showed a clip of him last night. He took on a linebacker and he stood him up. Okay, I get all of the above. I doubted his durability coming out of Stanford because that last year at Stanford, he stayed beat up all year, and he did actually miss a couple of games. He's missed 0 games in pro football. That's 48 straight games. That's impressive. That may be the most impressive of all.
With the amount of touches.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, yet... I'm just going to give you, I'm speaking my heart right now. If you told me, push comes to shove, going into next year, you can have Zeke or you can have this kid, I'm still taking Zeke. And again, I'm a Cowboy fan, and I have been a Zeke fan. I've had my doubts about his year last year, but Zeke's got some magic to him where I know he can take over a game and impose his will on a defense in ways Christian McCaffrey can't because he's just not big and physical enough. He's still impressed me, but he cannot establish the run between the tackles the way Zeke is still capable of doing. I didn't see it consistently last year, but my point is, I think he's a great kid. We had him on at the Super Bowl, as you recall, and he was a lot of fun to be around. He's incredibly entertaining and obviously very comfortable with himself, comfortable in his own skin. And he's growing on me as a player and as a young man, as a leader of their franchise. And boy, they stepped up and said, you are it for us.
Yeah.
We're going to pay you like you are our #1 building, but you are our cornerstone.
Well, he's the face of the franchise because guess what happened, Skip? There is no more Cam Newton. Elite Kuechly retired.
Yep.
So he's the undeniable face of the franchise.
Okay. Now, to the point you made, and I will speak from the white perspective, I will be the first to admit I might have a little bit of white unbias, if you will, or it's definitely anti-bias, because I still look at him and I say, this can't be happening. I'm sorry, because you brought up John Riggins. I have to go to John Riggins to go back to 1982. That's 28 years ago.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah, 38 years ago.
Yeah.
38 years ago. Sorry, 38 years ago. To find a year in which I said a white running back is the best back in football because John Riggins took over the league that year. Remember, it was a strike-shortened year. But he took it over down the stretch, and in the Super Bowl, he carried 38 times for 166 yards. And remember, he broke the game over with a 43-yarder in the fourth quarter against the Miami Dolphins. And I said, Riggo is it.
Right.
But remember, Riggo went 225, 230.
Correct.
And he was a high school 100, that is back in the 100-yard dash days.
Yeah.
But he twice won, that was in Kansas, but he won the 100-yard dash in his state twice as a junior and senior in high school. Okay, my point is, he could run a little bit, okay? Well, this kid, obviously, he's got genes back to a grandfather who was a sprint.
I think he ran in the Olympics or something.
Yes, he did. So, again, is there a little bit of bias on my part? Yeah, because Peyton Hillis became a joke because he went from Madden cover to bust. But it was off 1 year in 2010 when he had 1,100 yards.
Right.
And he was a late seventh-round pick, and he sort of came out of nowhere, and he was like, where you looked at him, and it was just a rarity.
And Skip, Peyton Hillis was more Mike Allstott.
Yeah.
Remember Allstott from Tampa?
Yeah.
He wasn't like this kid. This kid's a little elusive. This kid got home run ability.
He's got home run ability. He's not blazing fast, but he's pretty fast.
Yes.
I mean, he's 4.40.
Yeah, he ran 4. I think he ran the same time or maybe a tad quicker than Zeke.
Yep, tad quicker. Zeke has lost some of his burst, but the point is he's growing on me, but yet I still look at all these other running backs who are behind him, and, man, Dalvin Cook and Saquon and even Aaron Jones had a special year last year. Nick Chubb just exploded on the league last year. It's just hard to believe that he is dominating this league right now. But I can't take anything away from him except he's not transcendent within his franchise. And I know they've had quarterback issues. Cam stayed beat up, and they're mixing and matching quarterbacks. But his records were 2017, they won 11-5. But Cam had a lot to do with that. And remember, he didn't do much. He only ran for 435 yards as a rookie, and it was his yards per carry were 2.7. Did you see? Would you have said that's the #1 running back? No, you would not have. He started catching it, but then the teams, as he started carrying more, they went 7-9 and then 5-11 last year. So did he dominate the league on the scoreboard? I mean, in the wins-loss column? No, he did not.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they put him at 6, because he did have a historic season. Skip, but if you look at this kid and what he did, you mentioned Dalvin Cook. Look what Dalvin Cook has outside. He has Thielen, he had Diggs. To lift coverage, to say, oh, no, okay, you drop these guys, they got to go one-on-one. You look at Zeke. Look at what Zeke had. He had Cooper and Gallup. If you look at, who else? Cleveland. They got Jarvis Landry, they got Odell. Imagine if this kid had receivers outside that could lift the coverage.
I mean, I love DJ Moore, but that's one.
Right.
Yep.
And then the Cowboys' offensive line. Oh, man. Imagine if he had that. And you going into the game saying, we got to stop one guy. They ain't got but one guy. And he still come out the game. He gonna have 25 carries for 108 yards, and then he gonna have 10 catches for 117 yards. That's what he's doing.
Well, can they go win a Super Bowl with him as the driving force?
Well, they're gonna have to get some. Teddy Bridgewater making $23 million. He's gonna have to show why they paid him that and moved on from Cam. DJ Moore is gonna have to continue to build, and maybe they gotta have to get someone outside to help DJ Moore. But I like what this kid is doing. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that he's been this good. I'm not.
Well, he comes from a bloodline, a long bloodline.